Hi and welcome to Talking Shop. This is EKM's look at the world of e-commerce news with all the latest goings on in the world of e-commerce over this past month. I'm Mike, this is Phillipa.
Coming up on today's episode, we have shop owners to be forced to rent out empty premises. UK is not ready to be a cashless society. Ways e-commerce businesses can be more sustainable. Why drones won't be taking deliveries to new heights yet. And Meta opens the first brick-and-mortar store to help demystify the metaverse.
So, starting with the first story for this month, this is a bit of a breaking one, only come out in the last couple of days, as part of government plans that are going to come out on the Queen's speech, which is going to be on the 10th of May, so it might be today if you're watching this, or whenever that might be. Apparently, the government are looking at introducing, along with local councils, forcing shop owners, so people who own retail properties, to rent out those empty premises if they are empty for over a year. So the British Retail Consortium, the BRC, has calculated that 1 in 7 shop fronts across Britain is empty. This is a tricky, strange one, because how do you, at first it comes to mind, how do you force someone to do something with their privately owned property?
Yes.
It's always a conundrum, isn't it? Where people say, you know, you have sort of, in the past, rich oligarchs have come in and bought loads of property in London and everyone's sort of like, they lie empty because it's just an investment. A lot of retail properties are usually purchased as an investment as part of like a grander portfolio of properties. So how will they actually implement this?
Yeah, and there's so much uncertainty around it as well because it goes into a rental auction. So there's not really any telling how that's going to go. But you can see the other side of things as well, where people want their high street looking nice and busy and boarded up shops. It is maybe not something that the council would want for their high street.
It's not helpful for anyone, is it? It's not helpful for the other shop owners around.
Exactly. And this is encouraging as well for small business owners that may want to have a shop front but just can't afford the high rates that they are at the moment. So there's so many different angles to look at here. It'd be interesting to see which way this goes. What
does sort of feed into this is this constant story that we've covered a couple of times on Talking Shop about online sales taxes sort of helping to prop up business rates for physical stores and that sort of thing. So they are looking at introducing that to sort of offset the sort of imbalance of where you have a physical shop that has to pay business rates and online shops that don't have to pay that. So there's sort of a tax that might level that out. But it's going to be interesting. A lot of people, the BPF Chief Executive Melanie Lynch, the BPF being the British Property Federation, has she's called this a bit of a political gimmick because how would you make those compulsory rent auctions, you know, actually work? It's also a little bit off what you would consider, you know, ideologically this government to really be something that they would push for. So it's going to be interesting to see how that actually plays out. Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't worry too much if you're the owner of a retail premises, because it's going to be difficult for that to be implemented, isn't it? But we'll see. And you know, no one wants to see empty high streets, do they, at all? So next up, when it's again UK focused, that apparently the UK is not ready to be a cashless society, a report reveals, and this is a study from the RSA, not the Royal Shakespeare Society. No, it's the Royal Society for Arts, Manufactures and Commerce. I'm not a Luddite. I love cashless society now. I love being able to just walking around. I don't carry a wallet anymore.
I was going to say, do you carry cash ever?
No, never.
I don't either.
Never at all. Even I went out on Saturday night, for a few drinky poos, and I paid for the taxi now with my phone. So even taxi drivers are having to embrace a cashless society.
Wow, well, it's been that long since I've been out. I didn't even know that.
Got a horse and cart took you home, did they? I actually now immediately get suspicious when people want cash.
Yeah.
It's terrible, isn't it? But I'm like, why do you want cash? It's because you don't want a paper trail.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? The good thing about paying via card or electronically is that you do have a trail. You have all your receipts in one place. It's really easy to find things. So the ease of it is great. But I must admit, it's quite nice to have the choice. And there are members of society that do prefer to work with cash.
Yeah.
And you know, those kind of, they might feel isolated if we kind of cut that out and say it just puts barriers in place for a lot of people within society. So I'm all for cashless society, but I can understand. I think the importance of having it still is.
Yeah, and there's people who sort of argue that the cash in hand sort of job is actually sort of essential to sort of, for those little sort of jobs that people want to carry out sort of on the side, I guess. But also like for kids with pocket money and that sort of thing. But it can all still be done via, just transferring money.
Yeah.
I don't really.
You can actually get cards for children to help with. If they get chores, then they get X amount to spend. And,
right.
Yeah. So there are options to do that cashless too, but the actual having the physical money, I think that's still important for children.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, almost it's like a teaching them the value of money in a physical format. Where you can see it laid out in front of you and that sort of thing. So even the pandemic, they're saying hasn't really sped up the what is really required for us to be completely cashless. Only 38% of retailers at the moment are actively promoting cash payments, as opposed to 81% promoting card payments, and 56% still believe that cash is a COVID-19 hygiene issue, because that was another thing about cash, wasn't it? About it carrying germs and that sort of thing. So, but we're still not ready. It's still not going to be a cashless thing, so don't worry about if you still do cash in hand jobs. Anyway, another one where it's this is sort of progress. Sometimes it can be detrimental to of course the environment, which is a huge topic, and sustainability and what have you, which is very much in the spotlight at the moment. Ditching next day delivery and 4 other ways e-commerce businesses can become more sustainable. So this is sort of a study that and some advice pieces that are sort of doing the rounds at the moment. And you will have seen it on a lot of websites where I know Amazon have this, and where when you go to the delivery options, they say, would you like to be more sustainable? Well, don't request that it comes the next day if you don't need it that quickly. Or
wait till they have all your items from and then they can put it all in one box rather than separate packaging.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So that's one of the main ways they're saying to help reduce your carbon footprint when shopping online. And that's not sort of panders to this next day delivery sort of thing, but it's so hard once people have got used to ordering something one day and then wanting it to come the next, isn't it? So hard to get people out of that routine.
I think it's all comes down to choice at this. I think that's the best way to do it, because there are people out there their purchasing decisions will be based on how quickly they can get the product. If they can get it next day, then that will be the decider as to whether or not they shop with you.
Yeah.
Having said that, there are other consumers out there that make their decisions based on the sustainability of a brand. So I believe having one for everyone, a solution for everyone, is probably the best way to go, and then you're covering all grounds. But it'll be interesting because people do like things to come quite quickly at the moment, don't they? It's that instant.
I'm a nightmare at just clicking that, which one will come next day sort of toggle on there. Another thing they're suggesting is eliminating single-use plastics and switch to sustainable packaging. I absolutely hate unnecessary packaging.
Yes.
It's a real annoyance of mine, really.
Yeah, it was interesting to read that nearly 50% of the plastic waste, of about 5 million tonnes of plastic waste that is used every single day, nearly 50% is actually used in packaging. So that was quite interesting to read because, is it all necessary?
Quite a common one, provide a carbon offset or environmental donation at checkout. I mean, that's...
Make you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah, exactly. Take your product's end of life into account. So this is sort of saying, what's its lifespan and implementing measures to prolong them. So if you, I don't know, I guess that comes down to sort of fast fashion as well. I guess you would consider how much you're buying of certain things. There's also, they're suggesting offering end-of-life buyback schemes.
Oh, I have read about things like this.
Yeah, so once you're done with something that you can buy it back, it's kind of...
Yeah, but there's also so many other ways. Again, it comes down to how long your product will last as well, but people are now quite open to selling their own products as well on sites such as Vinted and Depop and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I see lots of that.
So that's definitely a more sustainable route as well, because you're not just putting your clothes, your waste into landfill. It is going
I'm not entirely sure anyone wants to shop my look though, if that makes sense.
Questionable at times.
Yeah, that guy I've talking shop, I want to wear what he's wearing. I'm currently wearing some hiking pants and an EKM t-shirt, which you can actually buy these at ekm.com. Or outsource your fulfillment to a more sustainable third-party logistics. I think we spoke about this on a couple of episodes ago about sustainability right across your whole sort of product journey being key now, whether it's the product itself, but also how it arrives to your customers as well. So the whole thing now is so under the microscope of how you do business, and the more you can shout about how sustainable you are, whether it's making the product, whether it's delivering the product, whether it's what it comes in the packaging, the better it's going to be for you in the future, as the population becomes a lot more concerned with sustainability and the ecological impact of what you're ordering. On fulfillment and delivery, drones won't be taking delivery to new heights just yet. This is just technology that I look at things and I go, this is just way too, it's too far, it's too many, I just can't see how it would really ever take off, but I imagine someone said that about most inventions, really. Forgive the pun there as well, by the way. So this is from Charged Retail. They're sort of saying that, they're not about to take e-commerce space by storm just yet. It's a logistical nightmare. I mean, how will all these drones flying around at low altitude? Yeah,
I think that would take a lot of work and planning to become successful, because it's not even just potentially crashes in the air that might happen between drones. It's also considering the environment that people live in. Are they in a block of flats? How does the drone then get to land and go up in the building?
I remember reading something where the main concern was about theft, because obviously then someone could just shoot down a drone and they've got your stuff, haven't they? It would just be chaos, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it
drones dropping out of the sky. There's so much things with this where you just think it's just never.
Lucky dip with what you're getting, though.
Yeah.
You won't know what the package was. But there's all sorts of things that could potentially go wrong. I mean, listen, I'm all for change, and hopefully, down the line, maybe something like this could help.
Yeah.
And it takes, some packages off the road, so cars off the road and stuff.
Yes.
So I can see where the thought behind it makes sense, but
then you could argue, how much could a drone really carry?
Well,
it would only be one thing. So the carbon footprint of that is actually quite substantial, because you've got to charge that drone.
Yeah.
God knows how much. What's the battery capacity?
They are expensive in themselves.
Yeah,
so
exactly, which is one of the reasons.
Coming from? Is it the customer, or is it?
Yeah, there's privacy as well. So like you say, if you do lose your package, where is it going? But also, what if I'm getting changed at my back window in the nuddy? You know what I mean? And it's this drone with next door's, groceries deliveries going past. I don't think I'm too keen on that, really. And also, it's this debate about automation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where, it will just do people out of a job, which is, it's such a massive employer now, is, fulfillment and, delivery drivers and everything like that. So
people do have good relationships with their delivery.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
You're taking that personalisation out of it, aren't you? So we'll see. There might be some option, maybe certain packages, lightweight.
Just teach a pigeon. I mean, let's go back and carrier pigeon. Yeah, just teach that. It's basically just a modern day carrier pigeon, isn't it? Speaking of technology that goes over my head, we've got Meta opens first brick-and-mortar store to help demystify the metaverse. Is this not more like a paradox? Like how Meta is obviously this thing that's sort of saying that, we can create this community with your digital avatar online, where you're completely immersed in this. It's virtual reality, it's VR, it's and now they actually want to open a physical store to help teach people about the metaverse, which is absolutely everything that the physical isn't.
Yes, it seems very a backwards way of doing things. They definitely need to, I believe, try and tackle this, question mark around metaverse. I think people have a lot of question marks, and until people understand it, it might go over quite a few people's heads, but including my own. But interesting that they're kind of bringing it into our reality now to try and talk about another.
Which reality. To me just says it's failing. It's not going to work. No one wants this.
It's too soon.
Maybe I'm just a bit of a stick in the mud, and I've had a go at the metaverse before because I just don't understand what service or what requirement. The thing when technology is successful, when it either answers a question or it suits a need or it makes things more convenient. I don't understand how this makes things more convenient. We were just talking before, weren't we, about how if you wanted to shop online, a lot of shopping online is actually the very secretive way where if you're introvert or you don't have to deal with people, you don't have to have shop assistants talking to you. You can do it at midnight when you're sort of lying in bed and you're you don't have to communicate with anything and just quickly make a purchase. Shoving yourself in this metaverse, well, it's just, that's not helping that at all, is it? You're getting some human interaction, but that isn't why we shop online, is it? If I wanted human interaction, I would do that in person.
In real life. Yeah,
in
it
real
all
life.
seems just so far away at the moment, but you never know how it's going to pan out. But it is interesting because I think they will be planning on selling some products in this brick and mortar store. So I think it is a store as well as an educational tool, but it'll be interesting to see if people just go because they're kind of nosy, or whether people are actually willing to learn and be open to this whole new reality. Yeah, so it should be pointed out, this Meta store is going to be selling VR headsets, so it is sort of selling what it is, but then, I mean, it still doesn't make sense to me. Why would you not buy that online and then you'd go straight into the metaverse? But anyway, I don't know. It's all above my head, really. But I said before, with these like digital avatar sort of spaces, where it was Second Life, I think was the big one, never really took off. So I don't understand what's changed between then and now that would make this sort of really boom, I guess. But we'll see. We should take a trip out there just to go and have a look at them.
Why do we need to take a trip there, though? Surely all we need to do is get into the metaverse.
Very good point. Very good point.
But then you'll drive yourself crazy. Why do we need to go anywhere? It's all in the metaverse. Anyway, we will look and see how. I'm sure they'll be queuing around the block for these headsets in the metaverse shop. This isn't in the metaverse. That's in reality. Anyway, we will wait and see. Right, I think that's we've covered all bases there in the world of e-commerce so far. It's quite a difficult time for e-commerce at the moment with the cost of living crisis stuff, so stiff upper lip and we'll carry on, and we'll keep bringing you the more light-hearted stories from the world of e-commerce. Make sure you're subscribing to our channel. In fact, we've got a brand new series. I don't know if you watched it, Phillipa.
I did.
You were actually behind the camera, actually, so she definitely watched it. Called EKM Unboxed. So make sure you check that out. What we do is we order some products from one of our EKM shops, have a look at how it's boxed, the user journey into it and the customer journey. It's really great. Do make sure you go and watch that as well. In fact, I'll put the playlist there, somewhere there. There we go. Anyway, until next time, have a good one.